A new agreement to govern oil drilling around the Huntingburg Airport has been reached. More on that, plus Carrie Schneider is back with our friends at the DuBois County Humane Society, and Donnie Lampert and Bridget Jarboe joined Bill Potter for the first of a series of Meet the Candidates tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin tonight with one of the two men arrested last week in connection with a Washington teen's death pleading guilty. Yesterday, 28-year-old Craig Street entered the guilty plea for his role in the shooting death of 17-year-old Devin Burris. He is facing 15 years in jail on a Class A felony count for conspiracy to commit robbery resulting in serious bodily injury. Now, yesterday's hearing was originally supposed to be a bond reduction hearing. However, Street's attorney and County Prosecutor Dan Murray worked out the plea agreement instead. Under the terms of that agreement, Street would start his sentence with 2 years in the State Department of Corrections. He would then spend 10 years in the Davies County Security Center before spending the final 3 years on home detention. Street will also face 15 years of probation, which will be added onto the end of his prison sentence. Street, along with 29-year-old Donald Cruckton, were arrested a week ago yesterday for their roles in Burris's death. Burris was shot to death during the early morning hours of December 6th by 18-year-old Logan Evans. Evans was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Meanwhile, 19-year-old Lucas Benjamin was sentenced to 30 years in prison for his role in Burris's death and for attempting to set up a drug deal between himself and Burris. An agreement to govern oil drilling around the Huntingburg Airport is now in place. Last night, the DuBois County Airport Authority approved entering into an agreement with Sovereign Natural Resources. Under that agreement, Sovereign will serve as the board's exclusive agent on nearly 445 acres of land immediately surrounding the Huntingburg Airport. The board would have the right to not allow a company to drill for oil in the area if the offer made for drilling is unacceptable. The board had directed attorney Phil Schneider to start negotiations on an agreement with Sovereign at last month's meeting, contingent on the company being registered in Indiana. Schneider told the board that happened late last month. DCAA Board President Brian Craig says the agreement not only helps to protect the airport, he also says it could spur development.
Potential, if there's something there that that companies find that they want to farm, they can let us know. We would take it to the board. The board would then decide if that's something that we want to get into or not.
Rusty Robinson with Sovereign Natural Resources appeared before the board at last month's meeting. He says oil is being found in the area at a depth of between 3,500 and 4,000 feet below the surface. He also told the board that wells at El Nora and Bicknell continue to produce oil after many years of being used. Sovereign Natural Resources already has 20,000 acres in DuBois County that it manages. It also manages land in Perry, Spencer, and Ward counties. In other business, the board received an update on proposals for a new T hangar at the Huntingburg Airport. A rough draft is now in place for a proposed hangar, and that draft was presented to the board last night. Craig says the next step is to approach county officials.
Travis and some of the other board members, we're going to be going to speak with the county commissioners and county council regarding funding for this project. Things are moving forward. Hopefully we can get this going. We know there's a lot of pilots out there that in DuBois County that are needing a place to house their planes.
Craig says all funding options remain on the table at this point. Those include county edit funds, bonds through the Indiana Finance Authority, and private bank loans, among others. Finally, Airport Manager Travis McQueen reported that the Runway 9 tree trimming project is now done. McQueen says the final walkthrough was done recently and the airport is now awaiting the FAA's approval to resume nighttime landings on the runway. Indiana released its list of 4-star schools yesterday, and several area schools were recognized. Here in DuBois County, 8 schools in all made it. These included Pine Ridge and Ferdinand Elementary Schools, along with Northeast DuBois and Jasper High Schools. In Spencer County, Chrisney and Lincoln Trail Elementaries, along with Heritage Hills and the South Spencer High Schools, were among those to make the cut. Otwell Elementary was the lone Pike County school that made it. 311 schools across the state received the 4-star designation. Schools have to be in the top 25th percentile of schools in 3 ISTEP-based categories in order to be recognized. A pair of bridge projects are set to begin across our area in the near future. Officials with the Indiana Department of Transportation say one such project just north of Ferdinand could start this Friday. The work there is focused on a bridge over Green Creek along State Road 162, about 0.4 of a mile to the north of State Road 264. NDOT says one lane of the highway along the bridge will be closed at a time in order for the work to be done. Stoplights will also be installed at each end of the bridge to control the flow of traffic. An 11-foot width restriction will be put in place on the bridge while work is going on. Jeffersonville-based American Contracting was awarded this project back in February. The contract was worth more than $311,000, according to NDOT officials. Meanwhile, folks who travel along US 150 in Orange County may need to seek an alternate route starting later this month. NDOT says work on a bridge just over 3 miles west of State Road 56 is set to begin on or after Monday, April 28th. Again, one lane at a time will be closed as work goes on with this bridge, and traffic lights will also be put in. The width restriction in this situation will be 14 feet. American Contracting was also awarded this project in February. The contract for that is worth more than $366,700. Now, NDOT officials once again remind motorists to follow the posted work zone speed limit, use caution, and consider worker safety when traveling through these and other work zones across the state. You can go to in.gov/NDOT for more information. Finally this evening, the final draft of Indiana's proposed education standards is now available online for public viewing. This morning, the State Department of Education released the proposed guidelines for what students should learn in each grade. An education panel, including Governor Mike Pence, education officials, business leaders, and teachers, will be voting this upcoming Monday on whether to endorse the new math and English benchmarks. The State Board of Education has until July to meet a 2013 legislative mandate to replace the National Common Core standards. Indiana became the first state to drop those standards last month after critics called to replace those standards with a more rigorous model created in-state. The draft standards are available at the Indiana Department of Education website. The public comment period for the standards is now over. All right, coming up after the break, Carrie is next with our friends at the Du Bois County Humane Society, plus your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Donnie Lampert and Bridget Jarboe. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.